So we all know that some of the best games ever created were created using ideas adapted from other games. I've been playing a lot of other games besides Lord of the Rings Rise to War in the downtime of my season, and I would like to see some of these features slash systems implemented into Lord of the Rings Rise to War from these games. I've been playing League of Kingdoms and Rise of Kingdoms, and I gotta say, there's good and bad and everything. I want to take the good and throw it into Lord of the Rings Rise of War, and that's what this video is going to be talking about. Let's get into it. League of Kingdoms is a blockchain MMO strategy game similar to Lord of the Rings Rise of War. One difference they have is they also, on top of regular resources that get sent to your storage, they have resource tokens that get sent to your inventory. Alright, so in my inventory, I have all these tokens. And above the inventory, top right, you can see my storage space with all my resources in my storage. So these resource tokens, I've got food resources, I've got lumber resource tokens, I've got stone resource tokens, I've got gold resource tokens, and action refill points. And these action refill points are like stamina in Lord of the Rings Rise to War. And when I run out of stamina, I can use my action refill points to refill it. So why is this awesome? This is awesome because I can hoard these and save them up for a rainy day, save them up for a big purchase, like I'm purchasing a large building that will be upgraded over the course of like 3 days, and they require tons of resources. Well, I can save all these points up, save all these little tokens up, and use them all at once. Also, I can sweep and get these resources as well.
Say what?
By sweeping, I can be rewarded with not only food, but lumber, stone, and gold, and action refill points as well.
You gotta know how to manage the
Sweeping.
He has a point.
With resource items, you can't overcap your storage limit intentionally. If you receive item rewards from an in-game event and you already have max capacity in your storage, they would be items, so it wouldn't matter, right? It wouldn't hurt you because you wouldn't overcap. And you can't hoard them, like I already said, and they can't be stolen. If someone attacks your base, they take your resources in your storage. They don't take your resources in your inventory. They don't take your resource items. I believe some form of resources as items would be a great addition to Lord of the Rings Rise to War. Moving on to my next point, I want to talk about sweeping and what they could do to further increase the gameplay and viability of sweeping. Lord of the Rings Rise to War, you have power per hour. It's gained passively. You collect the power per hour points and then you use them to upgrade and to put talents into your talent tree. Well, in League of Kingdoms, you have the same type of system, except it's called a Lord level. League of Kingdoms, it's a Lord level, and you can increase that Lord level, that power per hour, by sweeping. So I just swept a mob, take a look at it, and I gained 10 Lord levels. So now I was thinking, why don't we have that in Lord of the Rings Rise to War, where you can sweep in mobs and also get rewarded with power per hour. You put some power on that bar and it gets you closer to your next goal. So on top of sweeping a mob and getting a resource item instead of a resource direct deposit to your storage, I'm also proposing that the game gives you a little bit of power per hour for sweeping that same mob. So you get the resource item and you get some power per hour, not as an item, but as a direct deposit into your power per hour bar. And that way you can level up and put more points into more talents a little faster and even prioritize that. So with those extra talents from your power per hour, you would put them in more perks. Now, League of Kingdoms has some interesting take on perks. They have 3 types of troops: infantry troops, archery, and cavalry. And each tree they have is dedicated to that troop type exclusively. And as you can see, each little point you invest in will buff that type of unit. Pretty self-explanatory. The thing is, you can prioritize what units you want to put your talents in. So you could sweep tons of mobs, you could get tons of power per hour, and put those mastery points, put those power per hour talents into a column or a tree of your choice. And it's more in depth. So I'm basically proposing another, just more in depth system, more in depth talent system than we have right now currently in Lord of the Rings Rise to War. So if you were to revamp the talent trees from Lord of the Rings Rise to War, off the top of my head, it would be like maybe just having 3 trees instead of just 1, and you have a melee, a ranged, and a special. Now that doesn't sound too in depth. I think a better alternative would probably be a troop type tree, where you have, I'm evil men, so I'll use evil, or I'm sorry, I'm evil, so I'll use evil as an example. But you could do troop types, and the troop types would be orcs, urukai, evil men, trolls, and special. So that would be 5 different trees for each type of unit, and you could pick and choose what unit you could invest in. And the one final alternative I thought of was a quarter tree. Like each quarter in your base, you have quarters, right? You have, for evil, again, you have an eastern quarter, a Morgul quarter, an Uruk quarter, a northern quarter, and again with the special. So those are 3 different variations of trees, in-depth trees, that you could have when you're picking and choosing how to go best revamping the tree system. I think that in a big, I don't think there's anything wrong with more trees. More trees, the better, in my opinion. Just the more talents. Obviously, the more talents, the harder it is to balance everything. But you get tons of money, you can do it. I believe in you. Now, some actual talents and perks that I would like to see added to some new possible trees would be some combat bonuses for your units. I'm going to use orcs as an example. So orcs is a troop type, and they would have their own special troop type tree. And in that tree, they would have perks for orc offense, orc defense, orc speed increase, maybe even an orc travel time speed up. You could put like 5 points into that. Each point increases the orc units travel time or speed or whatever for 5% or whatever. You could also do a resource cost reduction. The game already currently has a recruit time reduction, so that wouldn't need to be changed. And also, I think would be huge would be a stamina usage for certain types of troops. Like say you get a bonus if you're using all orcs. It'd be like 1 selected talent, right? 1 big fat talent at the end of the tree. Maybe you get like minus 10 stamina usage if using an army full of all orcs. We could go even deeper. We could have damage resist talents, and we could have damage scaling modifiers too, such as your orcs damage will now scale off of hero speed, commander speed, and that could be like a final talent at the end of the talent tree that rewards you for prioritizing that tree instead of putting your talents and putting your focus in other things like resources and ring power and stuff like that. I'd also like to see a monster sweeping tree with some more combat bonuses for sweeping monsters. We currently only have 1 right now. I'd like to see some more, maybe even some defensive options. That'd be fantastic. Obviously, I'd like to see some march speed talents in this tree. Maybe even a reduced troop loss talent or 2. It could be a very small percentage, or it could even be a percentage chance, and then finally, I think a resource drop rate increase for sweeping would be fantastic. If we would be sweeping for items, maybe you just get more items. You get a different variety, maybe higher tier, all things of that nature. All right, I'm playing Rise of Kingdoms, which is kind of like League of Kingdoms and Lord of the Rings Rise to War. Rise of Kingdoms has a garrison feature, and that garrison feature allows you to reinforce allied cities. So I'm going to find an allied city, and I'm going to click into it. I'm going to hit reinforce, tap to join. I'm going to send my troops and away they go, right? Okay. So in Rise of Kingdoms, there is a lot of heroes that get bonuses for being in a garrison. Combat bonuses. What I was thinking is, what if you, the player in Lord of the Rings Rise of War, get bonuses for being in a garrison yourself? What if there was actual incentives for helping people, not just the good feeling you get when you save someone's life? What if by successfully deflecting an attacking army on a friendly player's base, you were granted a hero buff, and that hero buff gives you increased troop attack, increased resource production, increased march speed, any buffs, all the above, anything you could think of. You get this nice hero buff, and you get it as a reward, 30 minutes for an hour, for 3 hours, whatever, for defending your allies. What if garrisoned armies could bolster troop training speed by 1 to 5%, or bolster resource production by 1 to 5% in an ally's base, on top of being able to defend for them? I think that would be an interesting mix, an interesting idea to have thrown in to core gameplay. It would definitely promote more player cohesion, more alliance communications. You'd feel, well, a little closer to your friends because you've got them inside your city helping you out. With all these new garrison features, you would need some kind of way to ask for assistance. So you could have a chat bubble that says, hey, I need reinforcements, or hey, I need garrison. And it would go up in the alliance chat or faction chat. And then all someone would have to do is click on that chat bubble, and it would send them right to your coordinates, and they could garrison/reinforce simply at the touch of a button. And last but not least, with all these cool garrison toys you now have, you're gonna need a garrison tree. That garrison tree would have all the basics. You'd have your combat bonuses for defending. You could have march bonuses for reinforcing. You could have bolster bonuses. I would assume that if you were going to bolster another city's troop production, there'd be a cooldown. So you could have some talents that would reduce cooldowns. You could have talents that would increase your hero buff, make it last longer, make it more effective, so on and so forth. I believe that the features discussed in this video would add another layer of strategy to the game. I know some features may be outright broken or seem overpowered, but with the correct amount of tuning, I think that these would make for a great player experience. I don't know about you guys, but I really do appreciate the developers posting weekly new updates and patch notes for the game and new game changes. That really gives me hope for the game. I'd love to see some of these implemented if possible, and I'd like to know everyone's thoughts on the video. To be honest, what you'd like to see added, if what I'm proposing is too crazy. I know there are ideas from other games, but I think if they had, a Lord of the Rings spin on them, they'd be fantastic features and a great addition to the game. If you guys made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below, or shoot me a message on Twitter. Alright, thanks guys. Until next time. Peace.